Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast. I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider and the Cars Racing Show, and with my co-host on the far right of your screen, Jimmy Schiltz, my brother. He can, put a shout out there. And we have a special guest to welcome to the show this week, and this is Joe Rush from the American Allstar Series. And well, you can tell us about the full name of your series. So tell us a little bit about it, what like the official title, and where you're at, and the type of cars that you race.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kate and Jimmy. We appreciate you the opportunity to come on tonight. So it's the American Allstar Series. The first year we did have Crate in our name, and officially, legally, we still do. But DBA is American Allstar Series. So we get all sorts of names from the All-American Crate Series to about everything in between that you can think of with our name. But we are the American Allstar Series, AAS for short. But we're starting our 6th season, and it's going to be a great year. Really, really fired up about it. Got more money on the line than we've ever had as far as points money goes. We do have a weekly sanction as well. We focus just on 604 late models. I've had some opportunities to do other stuff, but, really, I think it's take one thing and make it great rather than do a bunch of different stuff and just kind of half do it.
Yeah, that's a great philosophy to have. And then tell us what region of the country that you race in, for anybody who's not familiar with your series.
We used to be kind of the Southeast, but this year we've got races all the way from Alabama to Delaware. So the Delaware race kind of came out of our new tire rule, which I'm sure we'll hit on tonight with American Racer. And we're going to Georgetown Speedway in October this year. Excited about that. Told him we couldn't come for less than 10,000 to win, and he said it was no problem. So we got another 10,000 to win race on the schedule, and we're gonna check Delaware off the list of places we've raced.
Well, congratulations on that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, I know when we were at the Cars Racing Show this year, the big announcement that I heard was about your tires. So tell us about the announcement, and then tell us also, kind of how that happened and how you got there.
Yeah, we'd always allowed both tire brands, and then last year it got kind of bumpy. Just being honest, we didn't make this decision to exclude anybody, but where you're at, I mean, sponsorship is what makes series go. That's what makes it work. That's what does our points funds. So last year it got a little rocky because there was a new tire brought out by one brand. American Racer didn't change their tires. And at that point last year, we were kind of given an ultimatum, and American Racer stepped up, and we continued to allow both. But it seemed like things just kept getting further and further apart as the season went on. And this off season, we had the opportunity. We met with American Racer at PRI, not just with American Racer South and Ray Cook, but the gentleman from the factory and Lies Tire as well. And we discussed some different options for how to implement this and how to make it happen. Left front tire is still open because really, we all agree that in late model racing, that's not very important. But but the other three do have to be American Racer tires. And we kind of made that decision. We looked at some different options. So if you notice, a lot of the other crate series is the crate tire actually cost more than what the open late model tire does. And that's because the crate series are making money off that tire. That's how it works. That's just the truth of the matter. That's how it works. So we had that option. We could have stuck a stamp on an American Racer and made $10, $20 extra a tire, just like the other series do. And we could have raised our points fund and we could have paid out more to the guys that do support the series, weekly. But instead we decided to forgo that and go with the Pro 2, which is a tire that American Racer was already producing. We are going to have a Pro 4 right rear option, which is just nobody's ever going to use that except maybe at a 100-lap race, in the daytime. Those Pro 2s are very durable tires. But we decided to forgo that, making the $10 to $20 extra. We're going to give it back to everybody that races with us instead of just supporting the points guys. One of my racers and I actually sat down and we compared the cost, our tire cost to the other series. And then we even looked at the one series requires a certain spec fuel. You can go to Speedway many times. Guys win running Speedway 85 or Sheets 85 with us. So we sat down and we just compared apples for apples. We said entry fee the same, everything. And even with the way that ours is structured, if our points fund's a little less, you actually come out better running with us by saving money on tires and fuel and things like that. We don't require those spec things that cost extra money. So we decided with the tire, we got a really solid points fund already. So we decided we would forgo the extra $10 to $20 a tire and just focus on passing that on to everybody that races with us throughout the season, both on the tour and on the weekly series.
Yeah, I'm sure your guys are going to like that.
Yeah, it's been, for the most part, very positive. I would say 80-20, positive to negative on it. Of course, guys that still get deals, those are the guys that have been a little more upset about things, because there are still a few of those guys out there that are left. But overall, it's been such a positive thing, and we've had a lot of great support behind what we're doing.
Good deal.
Well, congratulations on that for sure.
Thank you.
And I mean, from what I've heard, I don't actually sell tires, so I really don't have a horse in this race at all. But I've heard great things about the longevity of the American racers.
Yeah, these Pro 2s, last year we ran the 56 and the 48, which they're great tires too. They're more of an open compound tire, so they're about $15 more expensive a piece than the Pro 2s we're going to be running this year. But I've talked to Jason Smoot, which those guys have run those tires for years now. I also had a conversation with local racer down in your all's area, Mark Green, because he's a racer firsthand, so he's got that experience with them. And his comment to me about the tires were that they're great all the way around, but once you get 2 or 3 races in, they're better than when you start on them. So that's what he was telling me about them, that they last forever. Because I was asking him if he had any for sale, because I was thinking, get a few used ones, help guys out, get started that have had the other brand of tires, just to help them out. And he's like, I really don't want to sell any because they last so long. I'm going to keep them as backups for next year. So.
Well, that just reminds me, honestly, Jimmy, you've talked a lot about when you were racing years and years ago, and that one of the best tires that you liked was
old.
the Goodyears. Well,
yeah, because they weren't very good. That's why, because it was, now like around here, I mean, the one thing about tires, it just seems like that you can't have just a one size fits all that fits all the different surfaces. The racetracks in the South are way different than the racetracks in the North, so on and so forth. So, you have to have different compounds to kind of suit those. Like, for instance, a lot of people really love the 55 tire rule, and but the 55 is great if there's traction, but then once you start spinning it and get heat in it, and then you knock the edge off, then it's really no good. So it's kind of like down here in the South, we I always found that pretty much anything softer than, say, like the American Racer 48, you're running off a compound, and anything harder, you're running off of edges. So I always thought it would be pretty good to make a tire that was harder, but then it had a round edge to begin with. That way you couldn't ever have a sharp one, just round the thing off. But anyways, those Goodyears were just not very good, but they were not very good from the beginning all the way to the end. So, everybody was on the same tire, so that was good. But I applaud you, though, for not mixing the tires, because when it's just, there's very few series or racetracks that have been able to be successful by mixing different kinds of motor rules, tire rules, because there's always going to be an advantage with something one way or another. So one might, like a tire, one's going to qualify better, one's going to race better, and there's no way really to get around that, especially when you go to different racetracks. So I think you're really doing the right thing there.
Thank you, Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And that's what we learned last year. We like I said, we did try it, but up until 2022, both companies had supported us until we got that ultimatum. Just being honest, in 2023. So we did mix the tire brands last year, and it was an unfair tire rule. So we knew that we were giving American Racer the advantage because they were the ones supporting us. But still, yet we saw the Hoosiers win probably 50% of the races, because come race time, that Hoosier was the better option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you actually sell tires yourself, the series, or is it all through distributors?
So we do stock them because it it just helps the racer. You don't really make a whole lot of money off tires. I don't know if you've ever been in a tire business, but there's not really money to be made off selling tires, but it definitely helps the racers to have them available. We've also worked really hard with American Racer South and Ray to make sure that all of our the weekly sanctioned tracks, either the track has an option to sell them or somebody local is selling those tires. So, there's no distribution issue. Wherever you go race, if you're running an American Allstar Series race, you'll be able to get your hands on tires pretty easily.
Good.
Now, here's a question I would have. I remember back in, in all of the shutdown times, the supply chain. Have you been with American Racer like before that? Or, one thing I remember is that so many of the tires were in such short supply. American Racer had made tires, they had planned for what their normal stuff was. And all of a sudden they were seeing a very much increased demand. But were you already like involved with American Racer back then, or was it kind of sparked by those supply chains? I'm just curious.
We were involved with American Racer back then. We had both at that time. And I was able, thankfully, I'm in West Virginia. So thankfully I'm blessed and able with the series mainly being in Tennessee. We've always dealt with the Southern dealers, but we also have connections with people in the North. So if we couldn't get stuff from the South that we needed, we could go through people in the North that got what we needed during that time. And looking at this now, the supply chain issues have definitely been solved. American Racer has doubled the amount of molds that they previously had, and they're now running, I believe, 3 shifts a day instead of 2. So I don't think anybody has any concerns now moving forward. They really picked up production this past off season, and talking to Ray and Matt with South, it seems like that tires are in the best shape they've ever been as far as stock.
That's exciting.
Now you're promoting Berkley too, right?
I do the general management of Berkley. I pretty much put the schedule together, and I do. Randy Kinder bought the track back in 2022 was his first season with the track, and I pretty much get him ready to race on race days when we're not home, when we're on the road, and he can just go in and open the gates and race. So we have a really good relationship and a good thing going there too.
That's a fun place.
Yeah. We our racers, you ask a lot of the guys on the tour with us, and they'll tell you that's one of their favorite places to visit.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty well.
That's like I have a lot of friends up. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I have a lot of friends up in the Berkley area, and some of those guys that haven't raced down here, they always like, they complained about Berkley, and I'm like, have y'all seen our racetrack? Seriously? I mean, why don't you come and race down here a little bit? And I'm, because I would drive up there. I love it going up north, So.
Right. And you got some great track promoters down in your area, but the racing, from what I've seen, is definitely, we got blessed at Cherokee and had a day race there last year. So it was a really phenomenal race because Cheeseburger blew a tire and went to the tail and got on the top side and came back to win it. But from what I understand, some of the races in the South like that, you don't get that lucky. So.
It's just hard. It's disadvantaged with the dirt, or the clay or whatever, So it's not like you're going to build a cushion and, these racetracks will be, they're blowing dust, but they still have traction, So.
Yep.
Yeah, we got some folks watching and have dropped in some comments, and anybody who's watching us live, feel free to go ahead and drop a comment in, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Also feel free to share this, that we're live, share this with your friends. But I've got a couple of comments here. First of all, I have to shout out to Scott. He's from California. He says, happy Monday from, that state way out west, that state. The new bill introduced Wednesday would require cars and trucks of the 2027 model year or later that are built or sold in California to include speed governors that would prohibit motorists from driving more than 10 miles per hour over posted speed limits. Wow, that's lame.
That right there is a violation of our Second Amendment rights. Isn't it?
No, but I think maybe we need to have, I don't know how many,
it should be.
How many amendments? Because some of us have a need for speed. So,
That's right. Yes,
well, you know what? We do have we have it's in the Declaration of Independence. We have the right for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
There you go. Pursuit.
So pursuit would already lead you to believe that we have the ability. That's right. Being creative here. All right, we got a couple other folks here. So Terry is here. He says watching from Princeton, West Virginia, which isn't too far from that whole Berkley area there. Right. And Blue Ridge Late Models, they say glad to have you joining the American Racer family. I also see Spud is here, and he says, hey, y'all, this is good. So, yeah, I guess we're giving him some really good props for the American Racer tires. And Chris Cheek is here. His car, of course, was in the Cars Racing Show in the Benji Hicks booth. And he says, hello, guys. Looking forward to getting back in the driver's seat. Plan on making some of your series races this year. Thanks for what you do for the racers.
Thank you, Chris. We look forward to having you with us.
You got to know, that's the Wilkes County weapon.
The Wilkes County weapon.
That's right. You got to remember that when you announce him.
Yeah, our announcers down your way. We've got Walter Tapp that announces for us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he'll know that.
So he'll know that for sure. But I did say Chris was in the BHR booth at the car show. And speaking of the car show, it's been very successful for us, Kate. I appreciate what you and Jimmy do. BHR renewed their sponsorship with us for 2024, as well as KRC and Pop Bits. So, those were three good things that came out of the show for us again this year. We love coming, and that gave us a good opportunity to mention that. So, and we have a new relationship with Daytona 1, and I definitely credit that. I met Coach Ron Phillips down there. It was my first experience with him. And I really, really enjoyed that. So I definitely enjoyed the vendor time this year.
Well, thanks for giving us the plug. I mean, a real underrated part of the show is the business to business that gets done there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer in face-to-face business, and calls are great, emails are great, but the car show gives us the opportunity to go see some people we don't get to see, real often.
Well, and that leads me to you've got something new that you're doing as well. And I don't know if, we were a little bit of inspiration here. I think we kind of were. But tell us about what you've got coming up here.
Yeah, we decided to put on the Mountain State Racing Expo here in Berkley. I definitely took some inspiration from the car show and John Ackley at the Outside Group show. I always try to support both your guys' shows. And looking here in Berkley, there's a lot of racing in this community, in this region, and there's not really a good option for trade shows. I mean, the closest one would be to come to Hickory, or go to Knoxville and see John. I think there's some good ones, a little further north in Pennsylvania, but everything's 3 hours or more away from right here in central Berkley area. So, we're putting this deal together, the Mountain State Racing Expo, March 8th and 9th. In hopes that we can build onto something, use what we've seen at yours, use what we've seen at John's, and make our own little show, here in Southern West Virginia, and make it something special and something that lasts for years and years to come. So we're excited about it. The building we've got is the Berkley Raleigh County Convention Center, which is an old armory. So, nice big building, lots of space, and there's like annexes to it too. So that where they do, banquets and that sort of stuff. So there is the opportunity to expand and use those rooms in the future if need be.
Awesome. The venue is the number one thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Finding the right venue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Venue and dates. And
so when is the date?
So we picked our dates March 8th and 9th because most racing, down in your all's region, you're probably wide open at that point. But right. But up here in this region, really things are still kind of old school. They don't kick off till the middle of April, middle of April. So it should be a time for those vendors and exhibitors that are coming in that people are really spending money, because it's about a month out, month and a half. So, when they're trying to get those last finishing touches on their cars and things. So I'm really excited about that. The dates we got, I feel like we looked into that. And hopefully it goes great, not only for us, but all our vendors, so that we continue to grow this into the future.
Are you going to be, go ahead. Are you gearing this to more of a racer industry type show, or are you going to include the fans and stuff too?
It's definitely a racer industry type show, but we do have several of the champions from Berkley are going to be there. My weekly champion, AJ Hicks, is going to be there. So there will be racers there. We're going to have a little kids corner with some face painting and bounce houses and stuff too for those fans that do want to come out. It's funny you asked me that because I got a message from a gentleman last night on the page and said, hey, are there going to be cars and stuff there too? Because me as a fan, a diehard race fan, has always felt like this region needed, a trade show. So I'm excited to come as a fan as well. But it is geared toward, racers. We do have a swap meet built into it.
Okay.
We've got several great vendors, Profab, Daytona One, ATC, Spring Rhythm are several of the vendors that are already lined up to come and set up. Like I said, we've got, I think, 33 total on our list right now. So I feel like that's a pretty solid number for our first year.
Awesome. Well, give me some information on the swap meet. I've got a bunch of used stuff that I need to sell. So
okay, yeah, absolutely. We'd love
that's
to
right.
come up.
That's right.
Yeah, Jimmy and I were just talking about that yesterday. He's like, yeah, okay, I've got like my shop organized. I've got all this stuff. I'm going to put it up. And yeah,
I have stuff scattered all over the place. So I still have my cars from before and my hauler. And I'm just like, I have to like consolidate here or something.
Right.
Road trip.
That's right. Road trip to West Virginia. So and swap meet spots are only $40 for the weekend. So
okay, there it's perfect. Yeah,
very affordable. And you sell one or two pieces, you've probably made your money back on that deal.
Oh yeah.
I think the harder thing is when you have all the extra stuff. It's less about exactly how much money it is going to bring in, but it's like I can't bring myself to throw stuff away.
Well, it's what's stupid. It's what's stupid. When Dad and I, sold the building back in 2020, and I had all this stuff, and I was like, somebody would do me a real big favor if they just came in here and stole everything I had. Swear to God. But because it's like too much stuff, so then I go and I get a 10 by 25 storage unit and have all this stuff in the storage. I've been paying on that stupid thing for like now it's going on 4 years. Now I'll sell all this stuff and won't overcome what I paid for the storage unit.
Right.
And so it's like I'm just right?
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like it's just dumb. But you can't throw it away. It's got value, right? Right. I don't know.
I call it like things need to find new homes.
That's right. They need to find new homes. That's right.
Absolutely. All right. We got a couple more comments here. And so Richard is saying, hey, couple forward to visiting Berkley for the first time. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we're excited. That's actually something new we just announced just a couple of hours before we came on the show tonight. We are teaming up with Dirt Rich TV, and that's owned by Richard Green there. This year, he's going to take over our streaming for 2024. Very late model centered platform, and he's based in East Tennessee, and he's also an affiliate of Speed Sports. So we're excited about that, and it's good to have him hanging out with us here tonight.
Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Spud's got a funny one to say. He said, speaking of speed, Kate Dillon, I was behind you last week coming down Highway 64. I'm in this super low key Ford Transit Connect with Crate Insider completely sprawled across. I drive a billboard, so I'm pretty easy to like. Oh yeah, that was Kate. But I get pretty much. I mean, I'm like a horse with blinders on when I'm driving, and I pay no attention to. I mean, I'm watching the road, but I'm not I don't really look around and see who's around me or anything.
Right.
It's pretty funny. And another comment here. So from Teddy says, I think it's about time I quit procrastinating and come run with y'all.
He needs to.
We've been working on that for about a year and a half now.
Does your series sell Busch Light? That's all. I mean,
we don't.
Maybe if you did, Teddy he would run
Teddy.
for point. He doesn't even need a point fund. He just needs a Busch Light fund.
Right.
You know what I mean? Lifetime supply of Busch Light. He can just bring it over here, and me and him and Tasha will just drink it all. So
there we go.
That's great. Well, I know I've been talking a lot. Jimmy, why don't you jump in? And I'm sure you've got a couple of questions. And some of
you're doing great. I'm just color. Yeah, you're doing great. You keep going with it. I'll keep talking about Berkley.
Love your new background.
We can talk about Berkley, Jimmy, because we do have we've got a 10,000 win there, which is great.
Right.
But the Upper Big Branch Miners Memorial, you probably raced in it before.
Oh yeah. You guys are paying a lot of money for that this year, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. So last year we did 20,000 to win, 800 to start, and that's a great payout. You know, for crates, that's almost unheard of. But this year we decided we'd re-rack it and try again and do 15,000 to win and 1,200 to start. So
there you go.
I don't. It's the same, virtually the same purse that we had last year, but with that $1,200 of start money. So very that you know, a lot of times in crate racing you see, and it's just the nature of the beast. You know, I've tried to work it till it works better, but with this payout, I think it really will work. You know, a lot of times you see a 10,000 win race that's 300 or so to start. But we were excited about this and the opportunity to be able to offer, you know, 1,200 to start on this race. That's even bigger than the 15,000 win, I think.
Right. Well, I'm sure you're going to get a ton of cars for that. Now for that 15,000, like are you going to automatically like tear the winner down? You know,
so that's something else we do different, Jimmy.
Okay.
So last year we got hooked up with Shane Bales at Pro Built Motorsports in Sevierville, Tennessee. Has a very, very nice race shop, and it took him about a whole season to talk me into it. So we really started talking back in 2022, and he said, you know, Joe, instead of tearing down, a lot of times what they do on the asphalt side, the asphalt world, is they'll take it and put it on a dyno. So he said, let's look at putting that in for 2023. And we put it in last year, and it went really, really well. We have a series engine that we keep on hand at all times. We use the same headers and the same carb when we dyno it. And so we take it to the dyno. If it hits within, you know, the numbers, I don't put the numbers out there because I don't want people trying to build to the max HP. So, you know, if it hits within our specified numbers on his dyno, then it's good. So yes, we do have to go to Sevierville after racing in Berkley, but on the other hand, your engine's still in one piece, and you're not spending $3,000 or $4,000 of what you won to put your engine back together as long as the dyno is right. So was very successful last year. We had Logan Roberson there a few times. We took Cheeseburger there and Ramey there, both after Cherokee. We did Hedgecock's a couple times as well. So every time, and Zach Domes, which I don't care to share that his was the worst that we dynoed all season long. So so that was after winning at Berkley. But we do that instead of the teardown, because I think if you advertise a 10,000 win race or a 15,000 win race or whatever, the guy should get to win $15,000,
right,
not have to spend part of that to put the engine back together.
Right. That's awesome.
Now,
I didn't know how your tech worked.
Rules in place as well. Yeah.
Well, we do. And we may, like when we go to Delaware, we'll probably go ahead and tear down the engine there. Just because our engine, our road on the road tech man is Ronnie Phillips, used to work for ECR engines and NASCAR, so very experienced tech man as well. We've got, as far as I'm concerned, the best tech man you could have for a crate series, just with all of his experience. So we do have the protest rules in place, and there's the option of they can either protest tear down or they can protest for the dyno, whichever they prefer. So there's different prices. We do the tear down is a little more because it's expensive to tear one down. It's expensive to put one back together. So, you know, that protest is a little more than the dyno, but the dyno is there. And I think it's been a great option and thing that we've added in for the series.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, just curious questions. That's all.
Yeah. And honestly, that's something that our weekly tracks, I've encouraged my weekly drivers to encourage the weekly tracks to take advantage of it too, because I think that would be a good way. You always hear that crates on a weekly basis, they're being cheated. You know, they're illegal.
No.
Yes.
Oh no.
So,
that doesn't happen, right?
Never.
Wow.
Never.
If you just pull one every once in a while and take it to the dyno, you're out a few $100 in gas to make sure guys are racing legal.
I remember we went to this fast track race. So it's like a local, I'm not even going to say, because I'm not going to rat anybody out, but like, so take like track A, right? So like, so we have a fast track race. And so the pole is like 16.9 or something like that. I don't know. Something, and it's like, and there's 60 cars because it was a big paying race, and it had all the big dogs of the crate race and whatever there. Mm-hmm. So then none of the locals really showed up. You know, it was just a couple of them showed up, and so take the number 16.9. The next week for a weekly show, pole was like a 15.7. Same rules.
Right.
I'm just saying. You know, I mean,
something to it.
So Jimmy,
I'll share a funny. Did you ever go to Lizard Creek, Jimmy?
I did not.
You never made the trip down to Lizard Creek. So this is a great story I can share while we're talking about, you know, Southern West Virginia and things. So Lizard Creek opened in it was COVID year, and COVID year we just had a phenomenal year because everybody was racing. So they gave us the opportunity to bring the tour in there. And it was a small race, 2,500, 3,000 win, something like that. It wasn't a huge payout by any means, but I did. Jason Welshon pulled down there with me, and the look on his face as he came up, I was on the 4-wheeler and he's coming in his big, you know, the hauler that Jason Welshon pulls in or was pulling in at that time. And the look on his face was absolutely priceless. But then afterwards, I talked to him at Withville the next night because it was a, you know, swing where we went to Withville too. And he's like, I've never raced a place like that. He said, it's like a drag strip, wide open down the straightaways, stop, turn, wide open again. So that's one of the best stories we have in the tour. I wish you'd been down there because you'd know exactly what I was talking about.
Well, you've already described quite a few racetracks around here. I'm just saying, Lancaster. I would say Lancaster, but it's like Lanksta, whatever, like that.
Yeah,
paperclip, come back the other way. Whatever,
but and just getting to Lizard Creek, I mean, it's
I bet
it's a monster. You get off the interstate, you're off the interstate for a good 2 hours or so before you ever get to the racetrack. So,
I love the whole West Virginia thing like that. I mean, like Berkley is great. Princeton was a really great racetrack. Only went there a couple of times, but went to West Virginia Motor Speedway when it was big the first time for the Dirt Track World Championship. We had a crate race up there. So it was only a 1-day show, but we got to show up like the last day. And so here they've been camping. And so I guess we came in and we came in the pit area, never been there before. We must have went through 50,000 people camping. I don't know. It was a lot of people. And it was like, wow, there's a lot of people here. And probably more than the population of the state of West Virginia. They were at the racetrack. And but they supported their racing. And that, you know, now that place was fun. Big.
Yeah. We didn't ever get to go there. We had it on a schedule a couple times, but unfortunately it just didn't work out to get to go there. We are supposed to go to Pennsboro this year with Barry, and they did just announce that they're going to run the big tracks. So that's going to be an interesting trip, and you know, one that I'm excited for the series to go to just because of the legacy of the track.
Oh yeah, and that's another one that I'm glad to see that they pulled out of the ashes, and we don't get to see that very often. Once they close, and that's it, you know. But to see one kind of drug out of the, you know, from death, you know, that's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, were you a racer at one point, or how did you end up being a series promoter? I actually don't know your story. That's a good
question. I was going to ask the same question.
Well, it's a different story than most. So Berkley has been in my life all my life. My grandfather scored there from the second year the track was open. And at that point in time, the track was inside the light poles now. So you can imagine how small this track was that they were racing at. Because I know you've been there, Jimmy. So he scored there from the second year the track was open. And then on and off when I was a kid, he scored. There were some years we just went and sit in the stands, but nonetheless, I built that passion for it. And when I was about 15, he got back into scoring, and I asked, you know, hey, I'd like to have a job too. I'd like to try my hand at this. So I got thrust into hand scoring. That's my start in racing was with hand scoring. The second year they got a computer, and nobody would learn how to do the computer scoring. So I was like, hey, pick me. So I did the computer scoring there. And I then started working at I-77, and I continued hand scoring at I-77. They didn't get computer in probably until 2012, 2013. So, you know, I had a lot of experience hand scoring over those years, but it basically just my love and passion for the sport has always shown, I guess, and the people I worked for. Eventually I moved to race director and to, doing the promotions and things like that. And then the opportunity presented itself for a series, and I was like, let's do it. So my wife supports me. I couldn't do it without her. It's oftentimes it's me and her running up down the roads. And then I've got a young fella that's about 21 that helps us as well. And that's how we got to where we are today. So it's really different from most, because I know most promoters or series owners were former racers, but I never had the desire to race. I always liked being in the tower and messing with that end of stuff.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we need more people that love the sport.
So I definitely think that's why I do what I do. We're not getting rich doing this by any means. I teach full time. That's my day job. My wife and I both, we teach in the same school, but it works well with racing.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that. This is now we're getting somewhere. So what do you teach?
Now, what do you teach?
Yeah,
what grade and subject?
So I do elementary special education, and my wife teaches 5th grade. So she's in the door room right next to me, and we share some kids, and I work with 4th and 5th graders both, and do math and reading with the elementary special education students. So.
Wow.
Awesome.
I have a whole new respect for you. Not that I didn't before, but like that, it takes very special person to be able to do a job like that. Patience. Yeah. So it's a heck of a job right there.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I definitely love it. I love my kids, and but then on my lunch breaks and things, I spend working on racing most days. So that's how I spend my lunch. Instead of eating lunch, I'm working on something for the series. But I definitely do love teaching. Like I said, that's where I make my money. Racing is. I'd love to say we're getting rich off this, but if I did, I'd be lying. So we pay out most of what comes in back to our racers, and it's just the passion and the love of running up and down the road that we do this. Like I said, without her support, I couldn't do it, because she's not ever missed one of our series races. She's always there working the trailer and doing the things we need. I always say she takes care of the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm just the one out shaking hands and kissing babies. So that's kind of how we work this thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, mad respect. I had no idea. I thought this is what you did, full time, and on top of that, it's not like school is a rigid schedule. It's not like you're self-employed to where you're just going to take off a week or a few days or anything like that. So to work all that together and to organize all that and do what you're doing in a tour type situation, not even a weekly, racetrack. I mean, that's impressive. That is really.
It really does. All of our days that we get off, we basically use for racing. It works out well that pretty much everything that we do, we can take just Fridays off when we need them. We don't ever have free days to take off for what we want, but then of course the summer months we're out of school anyways. So that works out very, very well. But these trade show season and stuff, it's easy to take a Friday off here and there as needed. And then once we get into the spring races as well. So it's definitely a good job to have. And I've learned more and more as the more I'm involved in racing. There's a lot of people that are in education and teaching that also work in racing. And I guess it just works out with the schedule pretty well for most.
I mean, it's a brilliant schedule. The fact that you have the summers off as teachers, and that's when we race. And then you've got things like if you can plan around spring break and winter break and Thanksgiving break. And there are breaks that are built in there that are like, oh, wow, okay, this is really making sense to me right now.
Yeah, you'll always see our season kick off during our spring break. I always schedule our first week of racing during spring break.
I would totally. I mean, I'm envious because I would totally be a teacher if I was smart enough. You're
smart enough, Timmy. You do not have the patience. Neither you nor I have the patience. Neither one of us.
I honestly, you mentioned the patience, and I feel like that's what helps me with running a series. Is because a lot of times it's not much different than dealing with my students than it is dealing with racers. So
hey, I have to tell you, I have more patience than Kate does, though. Kate has no patience. You know, she's going to die with all of the patience that God gave her. You watch. I'm just telling you. She should have a whole lot left because she hasn't used any of it.
No, I used it all up when I was a kid. I did my quota. I got nothing.
Whatever.
Oh my gosh, we got a couple more comments. And Spud's back, and he says, the need for speed. Yeah, I guess you do. It didn't take long to get up to Morganton. I guess he was. That stretch of road is 64. Yeah.
Did you know that Spud used to drag race?
Well, then I think this is a big compliment that he didn't say that I was like being super slow and lame.
That's right.
And Tori is here. Tori, our podcast producer, who's put all this together, she's got a great comment here. She says it takes a special person to do what you do. Thank you on behalf of special need parents everywhere. So for real, yeah, really. And then Steve is joining us on the show, and Steve Gallimore says, "What tire will you run next year?" Yeah, so we can do a recap. I mean, we kind of kicked things off talking about tires, but just for people who are just getting on, joining us right now, just do a quick recap of what tires you're going to offer next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to believe we're here. So the left front is open. As long as it's a late model tire, can't bring a street tire and run it on the left front. But as long as it's a late model tire, that's legal on the left front. The right front and the left rear are Pro 2s only, and then the right rear is the Pro 2 or an option of the Pro 4, which, like I said, I don't think that's a tire that you're going to need often. If we were doing a day race at Cherokee, yeah, you probably need a 10. But I highly doubt that it's going to be run a whole lot this season.
And you don't cut them, right?
We do allow grooving and siding.
Okay.
We have since the beginning because we run rib tires to start with, and we just, talking to Ray, I feel like that's the cheapest route for the racer. I know it's time consuming, but also, it lets them run tires longer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It puts life back into them from everything that I'm hearing, listening to, reading, watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tires definitely not my area of expertise. Don't sell those. Now, being on the road all the time, I'll bet just name even one funny experience you've had, just like being on the road.
Yeah, most of our experiences are so we got the young guy that I was telling you about, he works for us. We just like to goof off and have a good time. So one time we were sitting in a parking lot in Kentucky between Isom, Kentucky and Willard, Kentucky, which is the middle of nowhere. And this lady just like flies back and out of the, and does like a 180. And so we made that into a huge story. So it's a lot of times the things that we see. This past year, we're going to Ponderosa, and wheel bearing went out on a trailer, and that was an experience. Thankfully, we were close enough to the track. There were people stopping from all over. Hey, you going to Ponderosa tonight? To help us, and so we got it fixed. Well, we got it jacked up enough to get to the track, and then somebody knew somebody that came and fixed it while we were racing. So we have a lot of fun experiences. Just crazy stuff happening. We had a flat tire that same trip when we were at Isom. We had a flat tire going, and a racer that had run with us just 2 or 3 times saw us broke down. Saw us on the side of the road and stopped and helped us get to Walmart and did everything he could to help us. So, it's a lot of fun and crazy stuff that happens on the road. We definitely love it. I'm a history person too. I have a degree in history on top of my teaching degree. And so I definitely like the fact that we get to experience so many different places. That's one thing that's really cool. Going to Buckshot, that's an experience because that's the furthest away we've been from our home base to go to a race. It's about 9 hours, and you lose an hour coming back. So it's definitely a haul. But just I'd never been to Alabama before, so getting that experience of going somewhere new, and I really enjoy the things like that. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of nights of very little sleep. We enjoy getting Airbnbs. We stayed in an old Texaco station once, so And while we were there, I found a die cast. Like they had stuff for sale sitting out, and I found a Dwayne Hommel die cast.
Oh wow!
So I was like, "Hey, what do you want for this?" And so I ended up with that, and I traded them one of our series hats for it. So we've had some cool experiences with that. Met some great people. Like I said, Shane Bell's there at Pro Built. He gives us a place to stay when we're down in that area, not only for dynoing, but racing as well. So it's the experience. I think that's a lot of what makes this thing so great. Met a lot of great people. Not everybody's going to support you and like what you do. That's fine. But there's a lot of good ones too that do support you. So it's been awesome, the experience of doing this for 5 years and heading into our 6th year. And just even with mentioning, trade shows, the car show was the first one we had done on our own. So that year of COVID that we participated in, and we had no idea what we were doing. We showed up with a tablecloth and a few things. Now we've got nice backdrop and schedule, and so the learning experiences along the way. The PRI I went to the first year in 2018, the year leading into 19, which our first season. And that was the first time I'd ever experienced that, which was just, you go there the first time and it just kind of blows your mind. But now I love doing things like these trade shows and participating in them. I really, I enjoy that and all the people that we meet along the way and get to shake hands with. And, we have a lot of great partners too that support the series. And PPM actually announced at our banquet that we had a few weeks back that they would be with us as our presenting sponsor as long as we want to do this. So
awesome.
Wow.
That definitely helps build into the future. You can look down the road at what you're doing as well and not just worry about every year having to worry about, we're going to get everything together. Because like I said, we're definitely not rich people by any means. So everything we do, we do off of sponsorship that comes in, and that's what helps keep us on the road. And we paid out nearly $40,000 in points money this year. So that's how we do what we do, and I definitely love it and love all the people that we've got to meet along the way.
So how many tour races do you have coming up how many that are planned for 2024? How many tour races?
26 tour races right now.
Wow.
So we scheduled 28 last year, and I thought, well, we'll get some rainouts along the way. I think we ran 28 races last year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've never seen a season like it. I would be happy with getting like 20 to 22 in, somewhere in that range. I always schedule with your tracks closing or things like that. But last year, everybody ran. And if we rained out, we ran on Sundays. So it was one of those deals where we'd already got to the track. So thankfully, we do have great tracks that have worked with us because you hate to pull a guy all the way to a place and then it rain out and they have to go home. So we ran them all. And hopefully this year I'd love to get all 26 in if possible. If not, I'm happy with 20 to 22 as well.
And another question is, do you have quite a few racers that follow your entire tour?
So that's one thing. This past year we had the way we do payout. We pay out if they run 80% or more of the events, they get full points fund on the tour. So we ended up paying out 5 for the full amount, and then I decided, because some crate guys want to support you, but they only want to support you in their region. So instead of trying to do multiple regions or something like that, I said, well, let's look at guys that run 50 to 79% of the races, and we'll give them half points fund. So we actually had 4 more that were in that bracket that ran 50 to 79%, and they were able to get some points money out of the end of the year deal as well. So I think that was a big deal to help a more regional guy that doesn't want to maybe from Tennessee travel to West Virginia or vice versa. So though on our tour, Jesse Lowe was our champion. He was from Tennessee. Our second place driver was from Kentucky. Third place was Tennessee. Fourth was Georgia, and fifth was North Carolina. So wow. We were very well represented as far as people traveling from different states to race with us this past season.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, I was going to say that from his last comment that I'm going to skip the formality with Kate and just indoctrinate you into the club of those who have no idea what we're doing. You are in the brotherhood with us now. So Joe is in our club. Inner circle of those who have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, we'll figure it out as we go, or that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. So,
yeah, watch out for that trade show bug. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, you gave me the bug to start with, so I definitely definitely would put the blame on you for that.
I'm going to make this very clear that on this show, what we're talking about is that our trade show inspired him to get the trade show bug, not anything else.
That's funny. I'm sorry, I'm distracted here. I have my peanut gallery in here with me.
Oh, do you see one of your cats?
Yeah. No. So I'll show you real quick.
One of your dogs? Okay. Oh, this is Molly.
This is Molly. So Molly's a Cocker Spaniel, and so this is what the audience can see. So Molly, and then she's completely deaf, and she can see pretty good, but she's good. Now I'll get her brother here.
So, they're both with you right now?
Oh yeah, they're Scooter has to sit on my feet. This is Scooter. So this is her brother, and so they both turned 14 last November. So so I guess in dog years they're over 100. So they're great dogs, and they're just hanging out with me. So that way, I have 2 cats too, but cats are cats. So.
Now, Jimmy, my cats have hung out with me the whole show, and I've kind of had to, thankfully,
really?
off screen, I've kind of had to push them back. So,
oh no, that's fine. We're a pet friendly show here, so you can just show them if you want to. Hey, I'm excited. I mean, I got to know a lot about Joe here that I had no idea. This is like, this is like a new thing for the podcast. We're getting to know these people personally. So, I mean, people are going to, you watch, people are going to come to you all year and they're going to say, I watched you on that podcast. And it's like, I remember that one thing that you said, or like, I'm going to, thank you.
The one thing I said wrong.
Probably.
That's
right.
You know what? The next thing we're going to hear is that Joe's going to have a podcast, and then we're going to be invited as guests.
Yeah, that's okay. That's cool. Yeah, we can never have too many podcasts.
COVID year, we did do a podcast for a while.
I didn't know that.
So, we were still a baby series then, but we did. I think it was COVID year. We ran a podcast for quite a while. We caught it off the dirt, and mainly just covered series stuff and did it on post race recaps. Basically, was our focus. We'd have racers on with us and that raced with us in the previous week, or we would preview the upcoming week. So we did do that quite a bit there a few years back.
It's a great tool. This podcast has morphed quite a bit throughout the years, and it was started, pre-COVID, and then, changed gears and became something during COVID. And then in the last, few months here, Jimmy and I became co-hosts on it. And it's like, things evolve over the course of time. So it's a fun little process for sure. See, we have another comment, and this one's fun. So Rick Drawley, yeah. So I got to do a little history lesson here too. That his dad, Red, was great friends with our dad.
That's right.
His dad. So Red Drawley was the funniest guy I think I ever knew when I was a kid. And so Rick is, I think, our age, but he says, Jimmy, you look just like your father.
About that. Actually, I listened to this song today. It was an old song, country song. It was Seeing My Father in Me. And I was like, it's probably pretty accurate now. So, whatever,
Red was his dad was one of my favorite people. Always. I don't know why.
Now we could get Rick on the podcast and we could talk about some of these stories. Now we're talking about stories.
Those wild stories.
That's wild back then. It's all tame now, but like what those guys did back then was crazy.
The 80s, the 80s were everything that they're rumored to be.
That's everything. Yep. Not just because of the age thing, but like if we could just rewind the clock, like in the racing world, back to the 80s, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of the golden years for sure.
Yeah, they were definitely the golden years.
Well, cool. I guess we're right. We're kind of wrapping up here, and Joe, I mean, really, really enjoyed hearing more about you. I definitely on this show and about everything that's going on with your series. Jimmy, did you have any last questions?
Yeah, we got a couple. Well, we're going back. So, because you're a teacher, that means so you have a history degree. Where'd you go to school?
Actually, I went to a local school, Concord University, and I ended up getting into special education because my first year teaching, that was basically what was open, and so then I had to start a master's in special education. I had a history degree and a K-6 degree, so then I had to start my master's in special education, and I ended up loving it and stuck with it, and that's how I got to where I am with working in special education.
That's awesome. Now, do you have kids?
Just my cats. I'm a cat dad.
Okay, good. So, that's good. Kids just complicate things.
It would be hard to do this with kids for sure.
That's right.
True.
What about you, Kate? Tell us a little bit about you. We got 4 minutes left in the podcast. Tell us something. So this is where the fun part. Tell us a little bit about how was your weekend? Did you do anything fun?
Do you really want to know what I did this weekend?
Well, we have 3 minutes and 46 seconds left. So tell us what you did.
Okay. So I am like 100% single, have no kids, and have a cat. And I went to a wedding expo.
That was Kate's podcast plea saying, like, please look at my Tinder profile.
Okay, I don't have any of those profiles.
Okay.
No, because once you do one show, we're talking about doing a wedding show. So that's why.
Shows are awesome.
Like, why am I in a wedding thing? That's why.
Shows are like cats, Joe. It's like once you get one, they just multiply from there. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, it's like they're.
My wife's already been on me about doing an education trade show.
There you go.
She's already been on me about that. So.
Oh yeah, it's variations on a theme. It's exactly the same thing, but with different markets. And so, but you have to, if you don't know that market, you have to research that market. And you get these ideas. People say, "Oh, you show a wedding show," and we're like, "Okay, I've never even been to one." So, I mean, like my famous last words always are, "Well, it can't be that hard." So, but yeah, that's why I had to like laugh hysterically that I went to a wedding show for the weekend.
That's awesome.
So, we had the Berkley banquet this weekend, so still doing something racing.
Awesome. Where was your series banquet at?
So we hold it at Rothschild's in Knoxville, really close to PPM, being our presenting sponsor. I think that's important. But they do a great job. We've done it 4 out of the 5 years have been with Rothschild's, and they're catering banquet hall. Food's great. And then we have amazing trophies. Let me give a quick plug there for Fast Five, Sylvan Schutte that races with us. His dad made our champions trophies he does that metal sign working. Yeah. They were our logo, and they're basically like 4 feet tall. I mean, they were awesome. And then our regular trophies are really cool too. There's a place in Fairmont, West Virginia that does those. So I think I do like to have the brag that we have the best trophies out there. So
that's well, and you can go ahead and plug all your sponsors.
Oh yeah. I'll try to list them all. So we've got PPM Racing Products, of course, our presenting sponsor. Veland's been with us since over Risco, year 1. Molly's been with us since year 2. They're a great partner to have. They make all the crate engine pistons, so it kind of makes sense for them to be with us. Right. Then we've got just picked up Daytona 1, BHR Fab, KRC Power Steering, Pro Fabrication, the official header of the series. Outside Groove is they do stories on us. They do a lot of great stories on the series, so they're a really good partner to have as well. Of course, Berkley Motor Speedway is one of our partners. That's one that obviously helps us a lot through what we do. And Rick Hendrick City Chevrolet, Chevrolet Performance. That's another one that we couldn't do without. And of course, American Racer Tire. They're going to help us pay out more to our weekly series this year as well with what they're doing, and their title sponsor of our Rookie of the Year award. Warrior Race Cars also helps with our Rookie of the Year awards. So just got a lot of really, really great partners and Rocky Top Health. Excited about that. It's a brand new thing that we're going to do a power rankings and do a bonus payout every 3 weeks this year. Thanks to Rocky Top Health, and he's going to take care of all of it. So I don't really fully. He has the point system and everything set up, and he's going to include weekly and touring and do an average, and somebody's going to get about $400 once every 3 or 4 weeks. So pretty
cool.
nice little bonus.
That's awesome.
Wow,
you got some great partners there.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so if people want to connect with you online, especially, where can they find you?
So our website's easy, CrateRacing.com. You get there.
Brilliant, by the way. That is like such an awesome domain. It is shocking that I didn't buy it.
I was getting ready to say, how does Kate not own that?
I didn't know how you didn't have it, or how some of the series that had been around, a little longer than we
blows
have.
my mind when I
couldn't
saw
believe it
your
was still on the market.
domain. I was like, how is it possible that I don't own that domain?
So we have that one. And then, of course, the American Allstar Series presented by PPM Racing Products on Facebook. Facebook page reached over 1.3 million people in 2023. So we've got really good reach there. And I think we do a really good job on our Facebook page. So excited about that. And then, of course, we're going to be on Dirt Rich TV. So he's got us a page set up if you want to go check out the upcoming streaming stuff as well.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you. Any last words, Jimmy, before I wrap things up for us here?
No, I don't think so. I think though, I'm sitting here thinking the whole time, I'm like, man, is there a way I could get in a car so I could go run Berkley for the UBB race? That would be awesome.
Offers. Yeah, you're getting a couple of offers here and there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Willie wants to pull up that far. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see.
We'll see.
I don't think Aaron Barley has a car anymore.
He went to modified on us.
He's a modified guy. So, which is good. Aaron, the Barleys are great people.
They are.
I've known them for a long time. As I say, you have to know the Barleys for being up there. Let's see.
He raced with me last year, and he got back in crate for 1 year, and then he went right back to modified racing on us.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing with them is that Bobby's a huge Ford guy.
I think,
and it pains them so much to have this bow tie there. You know what I mean? It makes sense. You don't want to mix the motors. That gets into all sorts of problems there. But anyways, they did it for a long time. So I don't know. So if anybody has a car or something like that, then let me know. Kate's gonna sponsor me. It'll be Crate Insider all over it. I know a guy that could make a wrap. I get a Crate Insider all over the wrap.
Hey, yeah, I do. I know a guy.
They're in the comments. You go.
I could probably get it. I'm gonna wear out Benji Hicks. Maybe.
Oh, here we go. Here we go, Jimmy. You can come. Jeffrey Wolford says you can come run mine for the UBB race, Jimmy.
That's awesome. I might do that.
He just got a new piece.
Dust the helmet up.
He got a really nice piece. So
how about that? Awesome. All right, thank you, Jeffrey.
Making connections.
That's connections. That's what podcast is all about. Yeah,
well, for sure. We want to connect everybody together. And speaking of course, I'm CrateInsider.com. That is the domain that I own. I don't own the cool one that Joe owns. How that happened?
I don't know how you didn't do that. When he told me CrateRacing.com, I'm like,
I knew his domain
because Kate owns like 1,000 domains. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were doing. We were bottom up, and CrateRacing.com was there. So
that's
unbelievable.
That's great.
Yeah, I think I own every version of Insider that there is, like Street Stock Insider, Dirt Late Modeled Insider, Drag Racing Insider, anything that has anything with Insider, I snagged all those. Yes, I probably have. It's a lot. It's a lot of domains that I own, but that's one that I don't. But yeah, and speaking of domains, I think you can type in racinginsiderspodcast.com. I think that takes you over to our Spotify. I'll have to double check that. But anybody who's watching us live, hey, wherever page you're watching, hit that like button, share this podcast so we can, reach more people, because a lot of great stories are happening here. And if you're on like Apple iTunes, leave us a great review on Racing Insiders Podcast. We go live every Monday night. Well, almost ish every night, Monday. When we go live, it's Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. And I know we try to be consistent, but and not always, but most of the time.
Hey, I'm actually set up now for that. I'm set up for
Yeah.
Mondays now because so I kind of took over my daughter's bedroom. Like
she's at college.
She's at college, so it's like, so she doesn't know it yet. So I tried to call her and ask her, whatever, but she didn't answer. So she'll call me up. I'll be like, hey, I kind of like took over your room.
I read
whatever.
Room.
But it's that question. Yeah, the question that comes up, when you're a parent and you have your kids off to school, when do you take their bedrooms back? Because it's like there's nobody out there that has a parent that has a 35-year-old kid that graduated college that has bought a house somewhere that still has a bedroom for their kid to come back. I mean, it doesn't happen. But there's like, but where, like, what is the actual line that you say? You know what? Okay, it's mine now. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We've talked about that. So anyway, so it might be a gradual process. Maybe it's just move your podcast stuff into a bedroom and then it's kind of squeeze it out. So
you got lots of couches, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, cool deal. Let's wrap things up. Thank you all. Thanks, you guys. This has been a fun night. Thanks all the folks who have joined us with your comments. And, check out all of the channels that we've just mentioned. And
ask us some questions. If you have any questions during the week, shoot us some questions and whatever. We'll be glad to either answer them or find the answers for them. And if there's somebody that you really want to have on the podcast, let us know. And we're open to please. So if it's it can be a manufacturer, be a driver, it can be anybody, just let us know and we'll put them. We'll see if we can get them on here.
That'll be fun. Awesome. Well, thanks, you guys. We'll see you next week.